Good evening. Um, Sorry, I was drinking some water. Thank you for joining us. We are going to go through to continue with Excel as we had started. First, can we have just somebody lead us with a word of prayer? We are going through challenging times as a country. So, I think it's really important that we appreciate where we are, and we also pray for those who are going through different types of situation and pain all over the world. Can we please have somebody just have a word of prayer for us?
Okay, let's pray. Almighty King of Kings and King of Glory, want to give you thanks for the gift of life. Want to say thank you because of this opportunity to gain knowledge, my Father. We say thank you because Jehovah Nissi, King of Glory, for the health that you have granted us, King of Kings. My Father, even as we begin this lesson, my Father, I pray for the wisdom and knowledge, King of Kings. And even as we are in such a time and seasons that the whole globe is facing, King of Kings, I pray you're going to grant us comfort. You're going to grant us the peace of God, King of Kings. And Jehovah Nissi, King of Kings, you're going to give us the hope of continuing living, King of Kings. Provide for those who can't, King of Glory. Give those strength to the weak, King of Mighty, and provide for the King of Glory the needs of your people, King of Glory. And even as we're going to continue with the lesson today, King of Kings, I pray you're going to be there for us in the name of Jesus. Want to worship you, want to magnify your holy name. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray, believing and trusting. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ruby. I'm just going to get into it. So let me just share my screen. So today we shall do some conditional formatting. We shall also get into conditional formatting, some charts, some text functions. Yeah, so let us see what we shall be able to accomplish by the end of the class. So I have already done some things, but I'm just going to also guide you on how I've been able to do them. So first and foremost, you're going to start with the conditional formatting. So just in case I didn't mention this, but I don't think so. So Excel allows us to highlight cells with a certain color depending on the cell's value. So, and that is what conditional formatting is. So I'm going to highlight some text. So here you can see I've highlighted some with I think this is yellow and some with pink. So I hope I'm actually loud enough. Let me just confirm. And I hope you can see my screen. So if I click on this text, okay. So you come to the home tab. So remember what you have at the top are tabs, and then you'll come to what you have the conditional formatting. So you come to highlight cells rules, and then for my case, I gave it a okay for the 14 for it to be yellow. If I'm not wrong, I said it should be less than something. Okay, but I can just do it. I can come here first of all. Okay, cancel first. Let me just undo the formatting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I can now come, I can just highlight them, and then I can now come to, okay, I can just do that. And then I can come to my text. So I can come here and
Hi guys, I think our speaker has some network issues. Let's be patient and wait for her to come back. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. My net got disconnected. So let me share my screen once again. So, okay. Okay. So I hope I'm audible and that you can hear me. Okay, great. So let us get into it. So I'm just okay. I started on conditional formatting, and yeah, on conditional formatting. So I'm just going to clear that formatting again and repeat it. So in case you didn't hear my definition, conditional formatting is when Excel allows you to highlight cells with a certain color depending on the cell's value. So, for example, you can imagine if you have grades for students, or you have database that contains the sales that you have made, maybe in a week or something like that, and you want to know, okay, how many sales this week were greater than 8,000, or how many students were able to perform a grade which is less than probably 40, or higher or greater than 70, of that sort. So conditional formatting can be able to just give you a brief overview of that quickly. So if you come on the conditional and then highlight sales rules, and then so I'm going to start with the greater than. So you can see there are various options. You have the greater than, the less than, between, so in between an interval of your liking, and then you have equal to, so you can say if how many cells are equals to 50. And then this one is for text, which contains, probably you're looking for cells which contains the word success, or more probably you're looking for students who have been expelled, so probably you just want look for students who have been expelled, or something like that. And then you can be looking also for the date, that is, you can be looking for specific dates. And then you can also be looking for cells which have duplicate values. So for the greater than, I'll just do for the greater than and the less than. The rest will just associate the same. So you can just say probably you want to associate it to be greater than 60. You have the option of choosing the color that you want that cell to look like. It can either be light red with dark red text, and then yellow fill, green fill, light red fill, red text, or red border. So you're the one who's going to choose. So I had picked the first one, so you can just pick light red fill, and then it automatically does that. So you can see it shows us which value are greater than 60 in our case. So we have 95 and 86. So the same can be done for the rest. So I believe this was for less than. So if we go to conditional, oh, you also have, no, it wasn't for less than, it was for this top bottom rules. So where you can pick the top 10 items, the top 10%, bottom 10 items, the bottom 10%, above average, such that it shows you which values are above average. It also shows you which value are below average, and the same rules apply. So if I just come here and clear the rule. From the selected cells, yes. And then, so yeah, you can see that. And then I can come and say now conditional, and then bottom, okay, I can choose, let it be, highlight whatever is below average. So Excel will automatically find the average and only highlight those values which are below average. So this can also be used in a school system, or even in a business or a financial institution. Probably you want to know which values, or probably which expenditure was below average or greater than the average, so you can be able to approximate probably where the expenses are more and where they're a little bit less. So you can see it has highlighted that, and that is that. Okay, so I'm going to come ahead and do filter. You're going to filter. So we're going to filter. So I'm going to use this data set that you can see here. So I can filter with the country, also with the quarter, or the last name is whichever I want. So if I come to the country, you can see where it just the drop down. So in case you have your data as plain as this is, and you wanted to have the headers and everything, you just highlight whichever data you want, and then you come to the, not the data, yeah, insert, and then you say table, and then you can just say my table should have headers, and automatically it will take the first value as the header. So you can see that's what has happened. So you can now come ahead and filter. So I can say I only want to see values which are from the USA, and that is done. I'm able to see those values. And the same can be done for the UK. Even in the last name, you can now come ahead, and even you can sort. I hope that is something you can see. You can now come ahead and say filter once more. I only want you to give me whatever Jones has. So if I just remove all this, and okay, so I only get for Jones. And same thing applies. So if you come at the top here, you can clear the filter, and you can also clear the filter from the last name to get the original data. So you can also, of course, also clear filter with regards to the quarter. Okay, so I want us to get into creating some charts. I want us to create some charts. So let me just confirm. Just a minute. Okay, that's what you are using. Okay. So, yeah. So we'll have our table, and then you will select. So wherever you select, and then you can now come ahead and say in the insert tab, you can now come and say click the line. So I'm just going to pick the one with markers. So you can even see when you hover, it tells you, it guides you which is which. So I prefer the one with markers. There's also the stacked. They're 100% stacked. So I prefer this because it's able to really give a comparison completely. So we have that. So you might also want to change, oh, and you can also see now from January, you can see the blue one, you're actually told this is called the legend, whatever is able to give you a brief description of whatever is happening in your chart. So you have the bears, we have the dolphins, and we have the whales. So you can see in January up to June, the bears seem to be increasing. As for the whales, they start on a high note in January, February they dip, increase in March, April they dip a little bit, increase a little bit in May, and then they dip in July. And then as for the dolphins, you can see they start on a high note, and then the curve goes on decreasing. So you might also want to change the chart type. So you will just come and click column. You can make it a 2D column. So you can see it also just gives us a description of that. So yeah, whichever you find that it's easier for you to use, that's what you're going to use. And there are so many other options. There's also the inverted bar. So yeah, depending on what you find you're able to do. So you can also switch the values that are in the row and the column. So whatever we have on the x-axis can go to the y-axis, or whatever we have on the y-axis can come to the x-axis. So to be able to do that, we just click on switch row and column, and that is that. So you can see how that looks like now. Okay, and then we can have you might also want to alter the position of the legend. Probably you don't want it here at the bottom, so you'll just find that, and then it can show you. Do you want it to be shown? So that was the left side, the right, and then oh yeah, this is usually the right in a computer. So the right, and then do you want it to be at the top? So it will just depend on you as a data scientist, or as one person who is preparing the data. What do you want it to be shown? Okay, so I want to go ahead and create some pivot tables. So Pivot tables allow us to extract the significance from a large detailed set. So I am going to use, so you can see this data set was a little bit short. So I'm going to use this second data set. It has several rows. It was 200 and something or yeah, I think it was around 216 if I'm not wrong. So you can see it's just data set with a lot of information. So if I have that, what's the 213? So if I have that, what's the best way of me being able to make conclusions from it? So you can be able to use a pivot table. So in this, in you just click in whichever cell of your data, you have no restrictions. And then once you click on it, just click, sorry. Once you click on it, on the Insert tab, you will have the pivot table option. So you can just click on that, and then you can see it asks you where do you want the report to be placed. So it's better it just goes to a new worksheet, and then yeah, we have that. So with that, we can be able to select what we want to be displayed in our data set. So I don't think we have that much interest with the order ID. So we can just pick category, amount, um, product, just to know what the product is. And then we can also pick country. So you can see it's able to give us kind of not even kind of, it's a summarized table. So you can see you're able to know the category is fruits. We have fruits and vegetables, and then we have apple and the countries and the total from each country and the apple total. And then we have banana total, mango total, orange total. So it's easier for you to come ahead and analyze this data and know that, okay, it looks like banana had a high count. So, okay, this data set was about exports. So banana was the main export. And then we have for vegetables, we have now the beans, you see the bean total, broccoli, and the carrots. So from this data, you can be able to see it looks like the broccoli was had a higher export, and it shows you the vegetables total and the grand total in general. So we can be able to filter. Yeah, just like I mentioned, you can come to the country. Probably just want to know, okay, what was only from Germany. Just show me what was exported in Germany. So I can easily remove all that and have that. So we can see the apple, banana, all only from Germany. And you can also be able to see the total and everything. So it's an easier way of being able to analyze data, and especially from large data sets. Okay, so I'm just going to clear the filter. So I want us to create a pivot table. Um, so for our case, you can come here and create a two-dimensional pivot table. So what will happen, automatically that is created, you will definitely have something like this. So you can now have in the filters have category. So you're just going to drag it to that end. And then in the columns, we're going to give it product. And then in the um, values, it's going to be amount. So once you drag amount, it automatically comes in as sum of amount. So we don't need to add that. And then in the rows, country. So you can see it gives us two-dimensional data. So I'm now going to just create a pivot chart from this. So if I click anywhere on my any cell in the pivot chart, and then I go to my insert, and then go to my column and have it as a 2D. So you can see that is what has happened. So we now have that data represented in a 2D column. You can see we have our Australia, Canada, France, and then you see our legend explaining to us what exactly is happening. You have apple being the blue or the navy blue, and then the orange being banana, the gray being beans, the yellow being broccoli, carrots being I think that's light blue, and then mango being green, and then orange being black. So it's easier for you to still analyze that. Though of course this doesn't give it like a definitive value as for, of course, from the data, because even you can see in Australia, the apple was around 20,634, and you can see for this it's goes over the 20,000 mark just a little bit. So yeah, we have that. So if you have any question, you can just drop it on the chat section. I'm going to be able to see it. Or you can just unmute yourself and ask. Or if there's anything that you want me to repeat, just say that. So I can also filter whatever is being displayed on the pivot chart. I can also filter whatever is being displayed on the pivot chart. So I will just come here, probably in the country, and click filter just like we have been doing, and remove probably some values. So let us remain with that. So, and that is represented. Kindly repeat the extraction of a 2D chart. Okay. So, okay, so let me just remove this. Okay, first you will come to your data set. So I hope explain more on values too kindly. Which values? Which values, Mandela? Um, which values? Just expand on that question. So first I'm going to extract, what has happened? Here it is. So I'm going to extract this to a pivot data set. Remember, it's kind of a large data set. So I can click anywhere on the data set specifically. Go to insert, and then you shall see the pivot table, and then shall have new worksheet. So I shall choose which data I want to be represented. So let me just go back to my data. So if I go back to my data, I can say I have order ID. I don't really think that's important for us. So, and also date for now. If unless you want to analyze dates, no restriction. So I will just pick product, category, amount, and country. So that's why I came ahead and picked product, category, amount, and country. So it gave me that data set. Okay. So yeah, that was the first part. And then I want to now come ahead and we were able to analyze this, we were able to filter it. So in case you want to filter only by country, probably you only want to see just on the drop down on the header, you can come ahead and filter. Just take France. You can even take two. I don't have limit for one, so I just take France and the United Kingdom. And then yeah, that's that. So you can just be able to analyze between those two countries, how they have been exported. So you can see the fruit in France, the apple, sorry, the apple was around 80,000, and for the UK was around 17,000. So banana around 36,000, and for the UK 42,000. So it's able to just help you see the differences in each and make conclusions from that data set. So I want to now create a two-dimensional pivot table so we can be able to create a better, it can be easier for us to create a table and all that. So I will just come and have my rows. You can see it already gives me the options. It has filters, columns, rows, and values. So of course, values automatically it will go to the sum of amount. And then now we are going to have in the filters, you can have category, which makes sense. Let us filter by category. And then on the columns, we can have product, which also makes sense since the products are known. It's apple, banana, broccoli, and whatever. And then you have the grand total. So you can see that table, it's easier for us to create a table from or a chart from. So now I can come ahead and say I click any value in the chart, in the table, and then create a chart from it. So just go to insert, and then you have the column here. We have the 2D column, and then it is created. It will also help you to so if you even want to go ahead and filter with regard to country and display only the country, so you can just click on filter and then yeah, choose whichever country or remove the countries that you don't want to analyze at that point. So at the end of the day, it depends with whichever data or whatever conclusions you want to make from your data. Do you want to only make the data based on whatever Canada, Germany, and the US has? So that is very important. So when creating the pivot chart, do I have to sum my data, or it is catered once I create the data set? It is catered for, all you have to do is import the data set. You see, my data set came in as looking like this. Where's that data set? Here it is. So you see there's no summation at the end of this data set. So immediately I come ahead and say insert the pivot table, it will automatically go ahead and do the summations, because I will choose, remember, I will pick those fields. I will pick the field for amount, so that is important. And you can see, even just having picking that field alone, it automatically has the sum for everything. So you don't have to add, you just have to use the system. The system will do everything else for you. So how can I insert the table heading, like a bar graph for export, or I have to add manually? So you'll come here. Let me just remove this data or this so that they don't. So I'm sorry, I think my net is really buffering. So let me just share my screen once again. Okay. So the question was about the heading. So what will happen if there's a question apart from the one for the heading? Below that, I might not have seen it. So just please repeat it. So yeah, so we were
I have
talking.
a question.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I was inquiring if you could explain more on the values, the one that's on the side of sheet 8 bottom. There are values, sum of amount. Yeah.
Here, values.
Yeah, there.
Okay, so what has happened is if I remove it from that section, it's just the amount. So only that automatically when you pick the amount column, Excel will create the sum of that column or the sum of those values. Specifically the each column, it will calculate the sum of each specific column. So it's just that I chose the field. Now for the amount, remember our data originally had that value, that amount column. It had the amount column automatically. So once I add it on the pivot table fields, in the values, it's the only realistic one that can be added, since you can see it has the summation sum. So we can't really add the products or the category or the country. So it automatically comes ahead and picks. Once you drop it can pick it by default, or you can just do it yourself. So yeah, that is what has just happened. So I hope that is understandable. So I wanted to show you with regards to the okay, let me remove the filter or country. Hmm. No, there's something I want and it's not giving me. Okay, so these are just the different things you can use. You can use the inverted. Um, area really won't make sense. Scatter. Yeah, it can't. So it will actually guide you. So you won't just be able to pick any. So it will actually guide you, okay, which one is realistic and which one is not. So there's the option of adding data data head. That is what I'm looking for. It's not supposed. It was right here. It's supposed to come up. Okay. So I think I'm just going to. Don't tell me I've been lost again. Okay, don't think so. So okay, let me just create it again. So pivot table. Can't find what I wanted. So let me see if I'll find it again once I do that again. So product. Okay, let me just filter them once and for all. Category, columns, product, and then rows. We shall have our country, and then we shall now put amount as values. Okay, think my net is really weak, so I don't know. I think during this time interval. So I shall come ahead and say insert. Okay, so I shall now put the column. Yeah, I have found whatever I wanted. So immediately I create it. You can see it gives me the option for the legend, and it also gives me the options for the chart title. So you can position where you want it to be chart, and then you can now see. So for my case, I can come and say country. say amount. Okay. Oh, okay. I can say export since we are looking at export quantity versus country quantity. So, okay. So that is that. So you can now dictate where you want it. So it can be above, which I believe above looks a little bit neater. Yeah, and you can now come and say the axis table. Probably if you want to specify, you have that option as well. So currently it's at none. So you have now that option. Now you can say this is country. And then vertical. You can now have I think rotated is better. Yeah, I hope it won't rotate completely so it can be quantity. Okay, let's export quantity. Yeah, so yeah, that's that. So I hope that was the question. Putting it in putting a header. So you also have the data labels. So okay, it really doesn't look that good, but it guides you on the value for each specific let us say outside end for each specific data set. So like I was saying, probably you're not able to fully analyze the data set well because you don't have the specification. So it's able to guide you and tell you like for Apple in Australia it was 20,634. So that's what the data labels is able to tell you. So there's also the data table. Yeah, so I think the data table now just it looks like it overpowers our data set. Just trying to increase the width, the height. Yeah, so probably I believe with the data, it gives you the values, so you might not really need the data table. So label. So with that, it's just able to guide you and give you like a summarized version of each and every value. And you see it for each country, just like you had listed, and for each um, fruit or vegetable in that case. Okay, so that's that. So we shall now come ahead and okay, we can change our pie chart. So I had another one here. I'm not wrong. Yeah. So although we already saw how that this was done, you can change this to a pie chart. Mhm. So there's this also this pie chart they call a donut. So display the contribution of each value to the total like a pie chart, but it can contain multiple series. So it's just that value they have been able to like it was in a pie chart, but this donut for each value is not represented. So yeah, if you want it to be more visual, you can use that or the 2D pie chart, depending on what you want. So I want us to look into something we call the Pareto charts. When I say Pareto, I don't know if my pronunciation is the same as everybody's pronunciation, although I don't think so. But it's written like this. So I'll just write it here, just type it. Pareto, like that. So I hope you guys can see that. So I'm going to look into that. So the Pareto follows a principle that states that for many events, roughly 80% of events come from 20% of the causes. So I believe it's like the 80-20 rule. So we are going to look at an example. We are going to take a data set which comprises of complaints. The data set comprises of complaints. So let me just find that data set. Yeah, just this one. It's definitely that one. Yeah. So this data set contains of complaints. So you can see complaint type and count. So there's the too noisy, overpriced, food is tasteless, when like restaurants tell us to give them a feedback. So food is too salty, food not clean, unfriendly staff, wait time, no atmosphere. That's weird. No atmosphere. I don't know. I don't understand when somebody says no atmosphere. But it looks like 45 people had that opinion and there's small portions. That is very understandable. So we are not going to analyze that data and we shall look at how that affects. And this can also be important probably if you have a business and you're looking at feedback that you get from customers. How do you analyze that feedback? You just don't take each and you can't be able to handle for all of them. You have to gather them up and okay, now get an analysis. So you will come to once you have the data. So I don't know, I can be able to remove this. Yeah. So you will select our data and then you will come to other charts. And then here at the bottom we have statistical. You shall now see the Pareto. It's the one which has like a line and that. So it will tell you actually. The good thing is that when you hover, you get a brief description. So you can see it shows the relative proportion of each factor to the total, shows the most significant factors in the data. So if you just click on it, it will automatically do that for us. And you can see now we have our data. So you can see that how this line goes. So we have it's rising and then it just becomes, it looks like it's almost looks a little bit constant. So this line basically shows that 80% of the complaints come from 20% of the complaint types. So you can see we have all these complaint types. We have one, two, we actually, since it's up to cell 11 and the first one is a header, so we have 10 different types of complaint types. But you can see from our data, even from the count, that majority, only two types of those complaint types um, really show the complaints where they come from. So that basically shows that for this, that 80% of our complaints come from 20% of the overpriced and the small portions. And of which it makes sense. If it's overpriced and it's small in portion, that's a valid complaint. So It helps you as a business person to be able to know how you're going to be able to make adjustments. So if there's no question after that point, I will move on. So we shall move on to text functions. To text functions. So how about text data? Yeah. So first, my data in this data set is hi, welcome to Excel up to that point. So this is my data set. Just to highlight, that's my data set. Hi, welcome to Excel. We are joining strings. So all that I've just done a flash fill like we saw last time. So I'm just going to show you different ways you can be able to join data in an Excel. Join or not join data really, but join strings. Joining strings. So the first, if you look, you can see the formula I have used here at the top. Okay. So the first is pick the cell. So my cell is A1. This cell is A1. This is B1. This is C1. This is D1. The last one is D6, row 6, column D, row 6. This one is column 5, column A, row 5. So I have to combine A1, B1, C1, and D1 to be in E. So I will use the ampersand or just the and sign, and then I will put quotation marks with some space in them. So you just put one space. If you don't put the space, they won't have this they won't have space. It will just be one combined one. So yeah, and it gives us that, hey, welcome to Excel. So for example, if I had maybe names, you have some names, you can have like Joanne, Akinyi, and then you want to join that. So you just come here, and then remember, for you to initialize a function, you should always start with the is equals sign. Don't ever forget that. And then now I pick my cell. So I have B8, B B8, and then I say and I will just put some space. So remember to just click the space tab in between those quotation marks just to give a separation. And then I will now put C8. Then I click enter. Okay, something is not right. So if you see that it's, oh yeah, I've seen, I haven't put an ampersand after. If when you type your Excel and you see that it does not perform what you expect, instead it just gives you the value, that means something is wrong. So with that, I just press enter and you can see it automatically fills that up as Joanne Akinyi. So if you have several names, like let me just pick name from this chart, that is called. Yeah, so for example, if I have like Diana, okay, Diana Untitled, and then I have Eric Mango, and then I have Maseno, Marvin. So I'll just work with that first. So remember with autofill, if you remember when we were talking about autofill, I don't have to keep typing that formula that I have just used. I can just quickly come here once I see that cursor, that like the plus sign. So if you just drop it, it automatically applies that formula to the rest of the wordings. So you can see this will be easy if you have like a school system or employees. Just do the first one, give the first one the formula, and drag to the bottom, and it will automatically apply that rule. I will just um, do a little bit more about combining the strings. So you can use what we can use the concatenate function. So instead of us using what we have done, so in this second row, I use the concatenate function, and then I just listed the columns that I wanted to be concatenated. That is A2, B2, C2, up to B2. And it was able to just completely do that. But if you notice, for this, there is no spacing in between those wordings. So that is very important to note. So for example, if I had this is Excel. So in whatever you want, you can even, it doesn't have to be adjacent to it. So probably if it's you have other information following maybe the names, or you have like registration number, course, age, and it doesn't really has to be adjacent to it, like the full name. So you remember, you just have to note how you're calling the cells. That's the most important thing. So for this case, I'll just come ahead and say it's equals to concatenate. So remember, you should always start with the is equals. So, and then put it in brackets, and then I'll say B B13, C13, and D13. And then yeah, and it automatically combines that. So if I had other wordings, so let me just flash fill this. So I can just repeat those wordings. And then this is Excel, so I can just easily repeat that same rule. And you can see when if you click on that, it has used that same rule, only it has changed the values. Okay, so we have another way of joining as well. Now the concatenate and adding some spaces to it. So if you notice on this, we never added spaces in between. So the wording just came as it is. This is Excel. Why is E? Please give itself some space. Yeah, so you can now come ahead and add some spacing, and you just have to put the space in between quotation marks. So for this case, just put quotation mark, space, quotation mark, and close. Yeah, so in between, I will just do the same thing. Quotation mark, some space, quotation mark, comma, space. So note the commas and everything else. So if I just press enter, it now operates with it has some space, do some flash fill, and that is adjusted even for the rest. So Though this we already looked at, did we? Okay, no, it's just joining the first way, but without the quotation marks in between. So probably you can say Doctor Juma. It's okay. Dr. Anne. So for this case, it's just basically adding without really minding the spacing. Though I think this is just a repetition now. So you just say C, okay, C16 and D16, and then is equals to C17 and D17. So just that and it automatically. So remember to add the space just to make it look good. So you can also say concatenate between a range of the cells. So for example, you can have today is Thursday, um, April. So you can just come ahead and say is equals, and then instead now say concat, and then the concat function, and then now pick the range. So for my case, this is G13, put a full colon in between and give up to where you want it to be joined. That is up to J13. So yeah, if I click on that, it automatically gives me that value today is Thursday, April. So it has concatenated all my values. So the last one is probably adding a word in between when you're concatenating them. How can you add a word in between them? So you can come and say probably rice, beans. So if you just click on that, you can now come ahead and say and now add that instruction. So it's equals, and then it will be G15. I'm just going to put it in capital G15, and you can put a space and space, close the and sign, and then plus H15. So if I click enter, it will be rice and or rice and beans. It should have been rice and beans. There's something that I have done wrong. Yes, replace it. So I will, okay, okay, is equals to G15 and some space and H15. So yeah, it goes to rice and beans. So it will add that word in between that word, those two words when you're adding to them. So I will also show you how I was able to use text join to join the text. So you can see for this how it is happening. So it is not advisable if probably not everybody will have a title. Even when you tell people to input the data, not everybody will input the data for the title, which is hardly ever compulsory. So what can we do? We can use what we call text join. So you will just type is equals text join, put an empty string with some space, and then comma true, and then the range that you want it to be able to join. So for my case, it's from I2 up to L2. So why text join? This is because text join ignores empty cells. So, and then it will say if second argument is set to true. So it will pick it will pick the value if there's a value for a case like doctor, and if there is no doctor, it will not pick that. It will just pick it as an empty string and still progress as true. So, and it will give us the value. So you can see for this case, even value in between, for probably people don't have middle names or something like that, it will still move on and give us that value. So you can see for this it was able to pick from I2 up to L2 and give us that value as text join. Empty string if it is empty, and then true for the empty if the first string is either empty or it has a value past that as true, and then proceed from I2 up to L2 and pick those values. So I hope that is understandable. Mm, I also want to show you, unless if there's a question, just remember to drop it on the chat section. I also want to show you how you're able to store the address as is. So probably you have the name, street, state zip, and then the address. So we use just what you have been using the parameters. So for my case, this is P18 up to R18, but I will use this car 10 or character 10 to break to break to a new line. So that is what it has done. So after the first value, it breaks to the second value, then it breaks, and then the third value. So that's what the character 10 is able to do for us. It's able to break the value. So for it to be able to break, you should note that you should activate the text wrap. You should activate the text wrap, and it's here at the top under alignment. You'll see wrap text. You will see that value. So you see if I remove the wrap text, it doesn't apply. So if I add the wrap text, it applies. So I can just redo this. So probably we have Samantha. Okay. Let's just try to make that S to be in capital. Yeah. Yeah, and then you can have the streets. It can be Nairobi, Nairobi. Okay, just leave it Nairobi, and then the city we can have from Embakasi Central. So I'll represent my calligraph Jones. So I'll use that Embakasi Central. Okay, where I want it to be small, that's why it goes in caps. Yeah, so and then we can give our address. So for my address, I can say, um, okay, I can say, Kayole, and then, oh, sorry. So I'm supposed to combine now to join those texts to create my address. So I can come here and just add some information. Okay, so according to the Kenyan system, it would be 790 or 687 00100. Embakasi Central. Okay, let's leave it as that. So with that being said, so now I can come ahead and now join that. So I just initialize the is equal sign as always. So this is P6, use the ampersand and then say car 10 and then ampersand again. Okay, that's the last sign. Ampersand. Okay. P6, and then and car 10 and then and okay, that's not car. And then now I'll add the second value Q6 Q6 and I'll add car 10 again just to break it. Then and now my final value R6 R6. I might want to break it again, but I really don't need to. So so you can see it doesn't wrap. It doesn't wrap. So I have to make sure that I wrap it. So here, come here and click on text wrap. So you have to increase the volume of the length of the width. So to do that, go to the end of your window, of your row. Yeah, to do something like that. So yeah, it gives us that value. So it's able to show us the address now. Yeah, that's that. So if there's no question, just move on. So what if I have something like this? I have like my name is Julia. Okay, so let me just increase this width. Okay, so I want the value that will be shown here to be is equals, okay, to only pick the leftmost characters. Probably the leftmost characters. I can pick only 4 of the leftmost characters. So I will initialize the function with an is equals, and then I will use the left, and then say, okay, you have to specify which cell is being extracted. So for my case, it's W8, comma, I only want probably like 6 characters. So you can see it has picked my name, my name. Okay, so let me just flash fill this, that you repeat that. Okay. So in the next part, I want to extract the rightmost characters. So I can come here, and now instead of using the left, I will say right. And then it shall be from my word AW9, and then pick only the last four characters. So you can see it's Ulia. Okay, so what if I want to extract a substring? I am starting in the middle of a string. So you shall use the mid function, and I will say I'll pick the string first of all that is being extracted, W10, and then the mid I will say probably pick from the fourth value up to so now you'll be counting from the right. The first value will count from the left of your cell, and then now you're going to use from the right of your cell. So I can say up to 2. So you can see it picks NAM, NA, NA. Um, so it has picked from 0, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, no, okay, 1, 2, 3, okay, wait. Let me see, let us say W6, see what will happen. Name is, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I know what it has done. So it comes and says from, I put from 1, 2, 3, 4. N is my 4. So it goes and says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from my 4, it counts 6 values. So that's why when I picked from that up to 2, we got that because it starts from my fourth value is N, and then it's only counts 2, 1, 2. So NA. So I hope that is understandable. So we can get the length of the string using the length function, and then so that you just be pick whichever character, I mean whichever value you want to be given that length, and we have that being 16. And then we can find a position of a substring in a string. So for example, if you have that, you can now come and say find. And then, so if you want to find where that value is, probably I want to find where is UL, UL in my W12. Where is that position? UL. So you can see it tells it position 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So also the spaces are counted. The spaces are also counted. So you might want to replace an existing text with a new text. So for example, you just come and say is equals to substitute. Okay. I thought it would pick the substitute directly. So substitute. So in which value? In my W13, I want you to substitute the word Julia, Julia with Agnes. So it now outputs my name is Agnes. So any question? Any question up to that point? Or is there any point or any step you want me to repeat? So there is a lot of functionality I wanted to show, but this Excel is very limited. The Excel web is very limited. So there is a lot of things I can't be able to do with the Excel web. So um, if there's no question, how many in this call have the Excel open right now? I can send you some data sets we analyze while we're here. How many in this call have an the Excel worksheet or workbook opened? So, okay, great. So let me share. Um, okay, so I'm just going to share a data set and then we can analyze the pivot table that we did. And then you can be able to see that from your end in case you are not able to get to that. So unless also there's any other data set you want us to analyze, you can just say so that I can share it with you and then you can be able to do it. So I'm sharing it with you in a minute. Okay. Just a minute. I get it. So just have your worksheet ready and then I shall guide you on how you can be able to, if you don't have your Excel opened, just open it and then you can be able to do it from your end and then so as to just make sure that it's just not wrapping. Okay. Yeah, so I believe, okay, somebody was raised, is somebody raised up their hand, or you are saying your Excel is open? So I post it on the WhatsApp group. I hope everybody's in the WhatsApp group. If you're not, you can just say. So that's why I want to post it.
I'm not in the WhatsApp.
Mandela, can you send that invite for the WhatsApp group on the chat section so she can be able to see? So, are there people who are in the boot camp and they're not okay? Okay, let me just share it also with the boot camp because it's refusing to share here. So that's why. Yeah. So I've shared it in the boot camp for those who are in the boot camp, and so is there anybody who has not been able to see it? Okay, so Daudia is asking. I've sent Mandela. Have you seen it? So there is somewhere I saw that you are given data calculation of a Z table. Think of Z something. Can you please kindly address later after the session? Calculation of a Z table. Sorry, I'm not understanding. Is it that did you see it in my presentation or outside the presentation so that I can structure my thought? Outside. Okay. Okay, so there is a Z table for statistics. So don't know if that's what you mean. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is it a Z table for statistics? Okay, but it's totally doable in Excel. So I want to cover statistical functions in our next chat, in our next meeting. The only issue I'm having is us not having, um, yeah, us not being able to have, but we shall look at statistics. I shall try and cover as much statistics in the next session as possible, but yeah, it's something which is very doable. But the issue I'm having is that some of our Excels are not as broad in functionality, but we shall try and do as much as possible with what we have. But you can use the link that has been sent. That will definitely guide you. Okay, so I hope you have been able to open the data set. So we shall also be looking at financial mathematics in the next session. I think it's just nice to have, not just because of being an accountant, but with reference with you being able to just handle your finances, be it in a business or yeah, personal finances, even a salary needs to be handled well. So yeah. Have you guys been able to get to that data set? Have you been able to open it? Once you open it, just go ahead and highlight all of it. Highlight all of it. So from the first, I think the first one it will be from the order ID up to the last. Up to the last. So you just drag up to the last row. And then once you do that, just to go ahead and click on search and click on table. And once you click on table, make sure you say that your table has headers so that the first row can be taken as headers. So I hope nobody has been left behind. Winnie, have you seen the data set? Or I sent it again? Okay.
Kindly send it again in the WhatsApp group.
Okay. So so I hope you guys I need feedback so that I can know. Have you been able to open it on your Excel? Okay. So once you open it and you create the header, remember you highlight from the first row, from where you have the names, the order, blah blah blah. Highlight from there. So up to the last row, just drag it. Um, is it left click and just drag it up to the last row, and then on insert click table and then click to have headers. Once you do that, anywhere in that data set, click on it, any cell, and then now click pivot table. And then it will automatically come with such a pop-up and tell you new worksheet, create pivot table in new worksheet, and then you say okay. And then it will take you to that interface. So you can now choose the fields that we want. So we really didn't need the order ID. So we shall just pick category, amount, So if you're not together, just tell me. Okay. So we shall pick okay, we can just go ahead and create the 2 dimension again uh, automatically. Um, so we shall now just pick category, amount, of course, product, product, category, amount, and country. And country. So yeah, to give it like that. But so you can see that it's like 1D. So we want to put it to be 2D. So we are not going to have columns. So in our columns, that's where we were able to add the product. In our filters, where we added the category. So if you drag it, you can notice it's no longer just all of it was in the rows and the values. So now you can see we have distributed those values into the columns and the category. And then you will get to this point. Once you get to that point, just let me know. Okay, so I hope you guys have been able to do that. So click on any cell in the 2D dimension and then now go to insert and then now pick whichever you want. It can be the 2D column, it can be the line. So pick whichever you want and then give it a title, name the axis. Yeah, just play around with it. So once you're able to do that, just type done. Other than that, we shall meet next Wednesday. So if there's anything you want to learn from Excel, just make sure you can drop it now in the chat section. Probably there's something you want to learn. So for Dawoodi, I will note that down and talk about it. The probability side. So I know I want to also cover the finance. So if there's anything you just want to be covered, just take advantage of it and let us do this while we can. Let us cover as much as we can during this time, especially through this platform. Yeah. So once you're able to create a pie chart, just type in the chat section done. Other than that, I am done with my session. So can I stop sharing the screen or do I leave it up?
You can stop for me. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so thank you for coming into the session. It would not have been possible without you. And thank you for staying up to this point. So God bless you and take care of yourself and keep safe and God above everything. Bye bye.
Thank you, Stella.
Thank you, Stella, for the session, and also thank you for all of you who stayed during the session from the beginning until now. As we're closing the session, I would like to put across some few points. The first one is that we shall divide you guys into groups and give you projects whereby, since you have read how to manipulate text using Excel, conditional formatting, etc., etc., you guys shall be put into groups and work on a project and apply what you guys have learned. Yeah. And depending on the outcome, that's how we'll know whether you guys are really attentive or whether the sessions are productive. And also, we shall be having this session every Wednesday. So next week on Wednesday, we shall have Stella again covering what she has told us. Yeah. If you have any question, you can either reach out to me or to Richard or to Leonard. I think that in the group and also here. Or you can also reach out to Stella. I'll be sharing some links over here for you to check out. So if you missed the first two trainings, we have the recordings are on the YouTube channel. You can follow there. Yeah, and in the Twitter handle, you can either tag us at your end or you can tag Stella at African Tech Girl. Thank you. If you have
Thank
any
you.
question, you
Thank you.
can ask.
Uh, just a quick question. I'm new. I've just joined in the session today. So, is it possible for me to obtain the previous sessions for this
Yes.
class?
Yeah, we have had two sessions so far, and they're on the YouTube channel. And I have sent the link. Yeah, there. I've sent the link on the chat, so you can just check over there.
Okay, thank you very much. Asante sana.
Karibu. Pardon, Roy.
Roy, can you be able to share your screen so we can see if we can be able to guide you? You mean the chat for the Excel, right? So if you can be able to share your screen, Probably can just be able to guide you where to find it. Roy, we can be able to see your screen. So I can see it has already created a chart. Or
Okay. Hey Stella, like you can see on your screen of the chat tab over here.
uh,
So I don't know why it's
click
not
on
appearing. Yes.
insert. Do you have insert or something?
Yeah.
So there are the charts. Can you see them?
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. So first make sure your data is in 2D. You remember how I was dragging the columns so
Yeah.
that it can be able to work? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. So bye bye. Roy, you have shared your screen again. Okay.
Sorry.
Now, happy helpers, are you ready to come check out my boutique?